check. So how does it feel to be in the safest place in Kentucky right now? I feel pretty good about it. I walked up here and I'm like, wow, this is awesome. My name is Nikki Goeser, and I'm one individual who truly understands the importance of those words our founding fathers clearly understood and wanted us as American citizens to never forget. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. When you take away citizens' right to protect themselves, you end up with subjects to a dictatorship and victims of horrible atrocities carried out by criminals. My husband, Ben, and I are victims of this very thing. The story I'm about to share with you is very real, very disturbing, and very mine. Nobody really knows who I am because my story never made Fox or CNN. It didn't even make the front page of the local paper in Nashville, Tennessee. So I do what I can on my own to share my experience in hopes it will save someone from going through what I have gone through and continue to go through every day. On April 2nd, 2009, my husband, Benjamin Felix Goeser, was shot multiple times and killed before my own eyes at a restaurant called Johnny's Sports Bar by a man who had been stalking me. This evil individual did not have a handgun carry permit. He had grown fascinated with me or jealous of mine and Ben's marriage, or both. His fascination grew to the point that Ben and I had to ask him to leave me alone. Ben and I ran a karaoke business at the sports bar every Thursday night, and my stalker had been a previous karaoke customer. When he showed up at the sports bar after we asked him a month before to leave me alone, it threw me into a mixture of panic and annoyance. I told Ben that I did not feel comfortable with him being there, and Ben said he agreed that I should have him removed. So I asked the manager to have him removed from the establishment. When they asked him to leave, he pulled a .45 and shot my husband in the head in front of myself and about 50 other patrons. He then stood over Ben and continued to fire 5 more rounds into him. I was about 15 feet away and hidden beside a brick wall, but could see everything going on in front of me. Something told me not to move and to not get involved. Just let the manager handle this the way they've been trained and stay put. After that man basically unloaded his weapon into my husband, he very calmly put the gun back in his jacket and started to walk out of the restaurant. There just happened to be a United States Marine in the crowd. And when that man saw the opportunity, he tackled Ben's killer. About 6 other men formed a pyramid on top of him, and they got the gun out of his jacket and held him until the police came. This seemed like forever, by the way. I relive that moment over and over again just about every day. I wish I could go back to that night and change things. You see, I am a right to carry permit holder, but because of Tennessee state law at the time, I had to leave my permitted loaded weapon that I had been trained to use for self-defense locked in my car. I now wish I had brought my .38 that my husband had bought for me into that restaurant with me and broken that incredibly stupid law. I will never know what the outcome would have been had I been allowed to carry my weapon on me in that establishment, but I do know the odds would have been more in our favor. Of course, I had no idea at the time that this man that was stalking me would be capable of cold-blooded murder right in the middle of a busy restaurant. I did the only thing I knew to do at the time, and that was get out of his sight, get a manager, and have them remove him. If I had had my weapon on me, I would not have had to have been 15 feet away beside a brick wall. When the manager went to ask him to leave, I would have been beside my husband, keeping my eyes on the bad guy like I've been trained to do. And when he went to draw a gun from under his jacket, I would have pulled and fired the way that I've been trained. I believe Ben would most likely be alive today, and I would not be standing here telling you any of this. Not that I don't believe this sort of event is important, I do. I'm a firm Second Amendment rights supporter. But I would much rather be with Ben in his old pickup truck on a Saturday afternoon, like we used to always do, going to garage sales and laughing and singing to the radio, stopping by Sonic for our high-calorie intake, and enjoying the day together. I married my best friend. Ben and I just loved each other the way I think God really wants people to love. As fate would have it, the day that Ben was killed, I called in sick to work because I wanted to spend the day with him. Something just came over me that morning that I couldn't shake, and I didn't understand it at the time. I just wanted to be with him. I know Ben thought I was nuts because he had to work on a friend's house that day, pulling up old flooring and putting in fans and new lighting. Ben said, "Babe, why don't you wait until a day where I don't have to work and we can actually go out and have some fun together?" And I said that I didn't care. I just wanted to be with him. He was so excited about it, he called a few of our friends and told them I was spending the day with him, and he was just beaming. So off we went in the old pickup truck. I spent all day helping Ben work on that house, ripping up old flooring and bringing in new flooring tiles. We got a little sidetracked or two. Ben and I always seemed to get a little sidetracked when we were together. We never got our own home finished because, well, we were always together, and we always managed to get a little sidetracked. That's what happens when you're happily married. But we knew that evening that we had to run a karaoke show. So we went to Johnny's, and that's where he was killed.